I am delighted to introduce our keynote speaker this morning. Dr. Niki Elliott is a clinical professor, ordained minister, author, speaker, and expert in the field of holistic education, mindfulness, and energy healing. Wow, she's really impressive. She's passionate about developing strategies for educating the whole child mind, body, and spirit. An experienced educator, Niki has taught students of all ages from elementary school through university level. She presently teaches educational neurology, neurodiversity, and mindfulness at the University of Laverne. She's a staunch advocate for students with special needs and learning differences. Dr. Niki is the founder of the Inner Light Method, a groundbreaking process of therapeutic mindfulness that helps highly sensitive people increase self-regulation and restore emotional physical balance. The Inner Light Method is specifically designed to support the social, emotional, and energetic well-being of students who struggle with mood, learning, and behavioral challenges. She's the author of 2 books, The Intuitive Mother and I Feel Your Pain, a 7-step survival guide for empaths, intuitives, and highly sensitive people. In her free time, Niki loves dancing to live music, and with her persuasiveness, she begs her closest friends to join her at concerts, dance clubs, and music festivals. Please join me in a warm Pasadena welcome, Dr. Niki Elliott.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Tornick, Friends Indeed, Comerica Bank, and you, Richard, for welcoming me here today. I remember the day we brought him home to join our family. It was December 27th, 2007. In the midst of the holiday season, he felt more like a Christmas present than an actual 16-month-old toddler who would depend on me for his very survival. I thought I read his DCFS adoption report carefully and realistically, but in retrospect, I did not. The report spoke of birth trauma, a deceased biological mother, significant developmental delays, and low chance of normal achievement. But with me being a seasoned educator and a newly ordained family minister, I naively believed that my expertise, coupled with my faith in the miracle-working power of God, would be enough to see us through. Unfortunately, I was woefully unprepared for how his behavior would upend my family's life and cause me to question my faith. And for the next several years, I could not imagine how our life would get back to some semblance of normal. At the time, I didn't know about the pioneering research being conducted by Dr. Vincent Felitti at Kaiser Permanente, which later became known as the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study. The ACE study proved that the traumatic emotional experiences suffered in childhood are converted into diseases later on in adult life. Adverse childhood experiences, also known as ACEs, include household exposure to physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, physical or emotional neglect, exposure to domestic violence, substance abuse, having a family member with mental illness, parental separation or divorce, or the incarceration or death of a family member. And at that time, I also didn't know about the now famous pediatrician, Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, who, after learning about this same ACE study, founded a wellness clinic in San Francisco. And there, Dr. Harris works today to effectively undo and reverse the chemical, physiological, and neurodevelopmental effects of trauma and toxic stress in children. What my son experienced back then was 3 psychiatric hospitalizations with numerous tests and evaluations, endless IEP meetings and struggles with school districts for adoption services, and finally, a diagnosis of emotional disturbance and intellectual disability, which is the politically correct term for what used to be called mentally retarded. My story is similar to the story of many families in this city who suffer in silent isolation raising children with special needs. And there seems to be a persistent stereotype somehow that only children of color from low-income communities face issues like this. But the truth is that families from every ethnicity and every socioeconomic background in this city are struggling with children experiencing ever-increasing rates of anxiety disorders, mental illness, and emotional disturbance. As you know, the city of Pasadena was officially recognized as an early learning city, and we're very proud of this commitment that we have to increasing the health outcomes of children ages 0 to 5. And as part of this important work, a study known as the Early Development Index was conducted for all kindergarten children in our city. And this survey was taken in 2013 and then again in 2017. And the data reveals that our children's scores for socio-emotional well-being showed a noticeable decline between 2013 and 2017, and that this decline was consistent across every income group and across all neighborhoods in our city. And this is a critical point for us to understand as we come together to pray about the well-being of our city today, because socio-emotional well-being impacts a child's ability to socialize, to express empathy, to regulate anger, to work cooperatively with others, and to live and learn in a democratic society. Our children are crying out for our attention and for our support. And we as adults, as civic and religious leaders, it's time for us to set down our personal agendas, put down our cell phones, look up from our computer screens, and give our children the attention they need. So what's the solution? How do we reverse this trend as a city, as a nation, and put our children back on a trajectory for socio-emotional well-being? Professionally and personally, I found one answer in the therapeutic benefits of mindfulness. The founders of the ACE study show that mindfulness is a scientifically proven way to help reverse the effects of adverse experiences, toxic stress, and childhood trauma. Even for those of us who are adults, it's not too late to reverse the effects of adverse childhood experiences that affect our health today. Though its roots are firmly planted in Buddhist meditation, a secular practice of therapeutic mindfulness has evolved in recent years, popularized by the work of a man named Jon Kabat-Zinn, who founded mindfulness-based stress reduction at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. And since then, many secular mindfulness programs have been developed and are being used and introduced into public schools and government agencies. Growing evidence demonstrates that mindfulness practice helps heal the nervous system, increase immunity, decrease anxiety, improve sleep, increases focus for learning, and helps to regulate emotions. And mindfulness practices are now being recognized as a low-cost solution to many of the mental, emotional, and physical challenges that our children face today. Now, my biggest success in researching and practicing in mindfulness came when I began to teach professionals and teachers how to practice mindfulness and energy therapy. I kind of tricked them a little bit. They thought they were coming in to learn how they could have tools and techniques that would help them improve children's behavior. But what they found was that the mindfulness practice changed them. They found out that they themselves became more patient. They found that their own sleep improved. They found that their own anxiety and stress levels decreased, which made them more patient and more supportive of children who were acting out. And this also was a significant finding for many parents that I have trained, find themselves screaming at their children less, issuing less aggressive discipline, and allowing things to pass by that would have normally sent them over the roof. Teachers and parents are consistently reporting that children's behaviors are changing simply because their quality of interaction and presence with the children is changing. A master's degree student in my current educational neurology class recently submitted a mindfulness journal to me as a class assignment. And during her class presentation, this teacher told me, "Dr. Niki, I was skeptical about mindfulness meditation. I thought it was weird." I hear that word a lot. Meditation is weird. And I thought it wouldn't make a difference. I only did it because you forced me to with this assignment. But last week, after practicing mindfulness for a month, my principal came to my classroom and asked me what I was doing differently. I told her about our class assignment, and my principal said, "Annie, keep up whatever it is you're doing. You used to send 3 students a week to my office for discipline. Do you realize you have not sent 1 student out of your classroom in a month?" This is a hugely significant research finding because keeping children in the classroom matters. A shift of this nature has huge implications for potentially reducing special education placements and, most importantly, closing the school to prison pipeline. Research shows that 75% of children in special ed with a diagnosis of emotional disturbance, like my son, have suffered 3 or more adverse childhood experiences. 90% of girls who are in the juvenile justice system have a history of sexual abuse. This data suggests that we have a practice of segregating and incarcerating children who have been traumatized, children who act out of their trauma, not because they're innately bad human beings who deserve to be segregated from mainstream society. The important thing about mindfulness is that mindfulness practice changes the lens that we adults use to view children. And so instead of looking at them and asking, "What's wrong with you?" mindfulness requires us to step back and reflectively ask, "What happened to you?" This reframed question allows us to make more meaningful contact with a child, with the soul of a child. It causes us to humanize them, and it draws them into our hearts to heal, rather than casting them out to suffer more trauma and abuse. Now, as we continue to develop this exciting research agenda at the University of La Verne, I'd like to ask Dean Kimberly White-Smith and all of my colleagues from the LaFetra College of Education to please stand. I just am so grateful for the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you. I can imagine us partnering with Pasadena Unified and with Kaiser Permanente. I am so excited that they have selected our beautiful city to build their new medical school. And together we can build a national model, an envy of the nation, a 360-degree trauma-informed care and education for our youth. As a society, we are breaking under the strain of how we have treated children. Pasadena, it's time for a new day, a new way of showing up to care for our children and for our families. Oprah Winfrey recently shared that it was her 4th grade teacher who loved her and believed in her and who helped her overcome the negative impact of the trauma and sexual abuse she faced as a child. And we all have this same opportunity to see what is holy, what is sacred, and what is divine in every child, and participate in helping to heal other people's children with the same commitment and passion that we use to love our own children. Now you may ask, why should I care about the well-being of other people's children? Because other people's children go to school with your children and grandchildren. Other people's children become the nurses who take care of you when you're sick. Other people's children become police officers and bus drivers and everyday people who walk this road of life with you. And what happens to other people's children affects all of us in the long run. And to every person in this room who says you believe in God or a higher spirit, you have a moral imperative to care and to act. This past year marked the 10th anniversary of my son being a member of our family. Chaz is now 11 years old in the 6th grade, and we were told to never expect him to be able to learn to read or write. But for the first time this past Christmas, my boy wrote me a letter. And his letter read, "My life is a good day. My life was the best day ever. A good day because it was the best day. Merry Christmas is today. I love you." This letter shows what you can do to help heal the hearts and minds of other people's children. And so, citizens of Pasadena, Mayor Tornick asked me to use this speech to issue a citywide call to action. And so I have a question for you. Are you willing to join me today in sparking a new movement? Oh, I'm not sure. We'll try that again. Pasadena, are you willing to join me today in sparking a new movement? All right, good answer. So there are 3 things we need to start a movement. We need a name, we need a call to action, some committed action, and we need an anthem. You with me? We need a name, we need a committed action, and we need an anthem. And so movements don't have names anymore, they have hashtags. So like hashtag Me Too, hashtag Black Lives Matter. And so I thought a lot about a good name for us. And so I came up with the hashtag Down for OPC, okay? That means that we're willing to do our part to help other people's children. The committed action is that each and every one of us agree and commit to become actively involved in bringing our mindful presence to supporting the children in our community all over Pasadena. Especially you get brownie points if the children are not related to you. That makes them other people's children, okay? It's no longer enough to simply write a donation check and sit by passively while other people do the work. Let's agree right now, today in this room, to walk hand in hand, side by side, into libraries, into youth sports, into synagogues, into temples, into mosques, into churches, into parks and rec, and become actively a part of modeling for our children what true socio-emotional wellness looks like, what true empathy and compassion looks like, what true love and care and well-being and calmness and concern looks like. They need our presence in order to learn how to do that. Maybe you would consider adopting a family for the holidays. Maybe you would consider adopting a family forever and becoming a part of that family's life and watching their children grow. And every time you do something that supports other people's children, I invite you to use our hashtag, Down for OPC, and post pictures and post stories in social media. Let's turn the tide of what's happening in our social media pages and make it something we can really get excited about, jumping out of bed in the morning to look at Facebook and Instagram to see all the amazing things we're doing for other people's children. Could you agree with that? Now's the fun part. The final thing our movement needs is an anthem. And I found the perfect song to use. It's called OPP, which stands for Other People's Property. Now, those of you who know this song might be thinking that a hip hop song about infidelity really has no place at a prayer breakfast. But today it is the perfect choice. Because just like this song, we look at certain children and decide that they're not good enough, that they don't belong here, that they're not qualified or appropriate to sit in the high places of life. But just like what we're about to do with this song, children can be transformed when we're willing to look at them with new eyes, to see their possibilities and give them a chance to serve a higher purpose. And right now, we're about to give OPP a chance to serve a higher purpose. So instead of asking you if you're down with OPP, I'm going to ask if you're down for OPC, which means what? All right, we're with it, we got it. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. I don't have a true center, so I'm going to need these tables right here to be my center. So I'm going to ask one time to my left, then I'm going to ask again, I'll point to the center, you all make a center, and then I'm going to point over here to my right. And each time when I point at your section, and then 3 times I'm going to ask, you down with OPC? And your enthusiastic response is? Thank you. So I'm going to ask you down with OPC, and you say, yeah, you know me. All right? But we're going to do it in 3 parts. The 4th time, I'm going to ask who's down with OPC, and when I put my hands down here, your answer is this whole city. All right? Who's down with OPC? This whole city. All right, good job. Then we're going to do it one more time. Side, middle, side. And the last time, I'm going to ask with my hands up when I say, who's down with OPC? Your answer is everybody. All right, we got it? Down here means what? This whole city. And this means everybody. All right, you sound ready. DJ, spin the record. Come on up out of your seats if you're willing to show Mayor Tornick that you stand for other people's children. All right. We got to get the beat right. Help your neighbor get the beat right. All right. All right. Sound good. All right. Sound ready. It goes 1, 2, 3. You down with OPC? You down with OPC? You down with OPC? Who's down with OPC? This whole city. You down with OPC? You down with OPC? You down with OPC? Who's down with OPC? Everybody! Woo! Yes, yes! Amen! Amen. Somebody please let Oprah Winfrey know that on this day, the city of Pasadena sparked a new movement, #DownForOPC, and that we are committed to reversing the damaging effects of adverse childhood experiences. Thank you all for your promise. Peace and blessings.
Well, that got you up and excited, huh? This was, I knew that she would be terrific, but I didn't know how terrific. So this is a challenge for all of us. Pasadena has declared itself an early learning city. We have an Office of the Young Child. We understand what it means to give our kids ages 0 to 5 the best chance they can have in life. And so this is a clarion call for all of us and entirely appropriate at the prayer breakfast. And on behalf of the city and myself, I'd like to give this to Dr. Niki for waking us up and challenging us in a very specific way. Thank you very much.
So, in addition to the beautiful plate you just received, on behalf of all the clients and the board of directors and the staff of Friends Indeed, we want to thank you for being with us this morning and offer you a small token of our appreciation. So every week, our clients in the women's room have the opportunity to do an art project. We have some very talented artists. So please accept this original piece of art by one of our women as a gift. Thank you.